Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming to this morning's webinar series, particularly given that we're so close to Christmas. It just seems to be coming up very fast. But appreciate your attention to this issue, which we think is a really exciting opportunity. Today's webinar is the third in our series, and it's really focusing on how we can work together, co-branding to support each other's activities and work, and also support the success of the scheme. So what we thought we would do is talk about a little bit about, why all of this matters and what the benefits of co-branding actually are. Give you the history of promotional support that's in the commitment document, talk about some of the benefits. Then I'm going to go through quite a few of the opportunities and the assets that we have, and just close on a discussion about how we can partner together to make this more successful. So just a few slides going over why bee-cycling matters. Obviously, the way we use batteries and the way we're living is really changing at the moment, and that our use of batteries is also increasing exponentially, and our reliance on new chemistries such as lithium is definitely also expanding. So at our last count, which is, I think, about to be updated and will be quite a bit bigger, but at the last count, Australians purchased enough batteries to go right around the planet 2.3 times, which is about end-to-end, about 90,000 kilometres. It's going to even grow more though. By 2050, we'll have reached around 37 times. And early in the new year, we'll be able to give you the latest figures on that. The challenge is also, though, that batteries present some significant issues at end of life, that depending on the chemistry, they can contain toxic materials, they're corrosive, and can really cause environmental and health and safety issues if they're not managed responsibly. In addition to that, we don't have a very good track record of doing that in Australia. We did some research last year and found that around 63% of people are putting their batteries in the general waste and recycling bins. And that's really creating some major headaches for them. One collector that we had working with us reported 15 fires in their trucks just in 1 month alone this year. So it's definitely, we need to switch our behaviour and really start moving people towards the solution, which is the bee-cycle network. I think I also just wanted to draw your attention to the button battery safety issue. It really is, top of mind for us. In Australia, 1 child a month is seriously injured after swallowing or inserting a button battery, and some of them have really lifelong terrible injuries. And unfortunately, we've even had 2 deaths in Australia, and globally it's even been higher than that. So we definitely need to be addressing this issue in our network. Batteries also contain finite materials, and if we look at our current diversion rates, certainly prior to the scheme, we were only collecting about 3% of batteries. So the remainder either going to landfill or just being hoarded in people's homes. So again, we really want to switch that around and ensure that we're properly managing batteries in a safe and responsible manner. So a big part of that, and the main focus of today, is co-branding. And I think this is a really central part of the scheme's success, in that much of what we do is all about our partners. The participants in the scheme, absolutely central, both in terms of providing funding for the scheme, making sure that batteries that are being sold actually belong to brands that are responsible, and the whole recycling network. And that includes local government as well as retail and private collection points. So a really important piece for us. And a core part of actually joining the scheme is in the commitments that people make. And there are 2 different commitments depending on the activities that you're doing. The bee-cycle commitment form really does apply to everybody, and then there's one that's specific to drop-off points that don't have any other activity. But both of those include a commitment to promoting the scheme and also to promoting safety, with that throughout the network. And that co-promotional activity, the co-branding activity, is really important for informing consumers and the community about B-Cycle and our partners. And by doing that communication together, we're really driving awareness of which brands are part of the solutions, which retailers are really supporting the scheme, and then allowing people to know then which brands to buy. And the other piece, obviously, is awareness about battery recycling and why it's important and how to do it safely. I think from a brand perspective, though, partnering with us really enables you to focus your commitment on both solving the battery waste problem, which is the fundamental opportunity, but also for brands and retailers, it really does drive sales growth. It's been shown to encourage foot traffic. Importantly, it supports us to grow and succeed, but also it really does allow you to show leadership in your sector, that you take these matters, and particularly battery safety and sustainability, seriously. So the really nice thing about this webinar is that we have some beautiful resources to share with you. And so I just thought I would go through and both show, once you're a participant, how you can access those resources, and give you some examples of how they're being implemented in practice. So from our perspective and the B-Cycle brand, the key piece of information is the style guide. That really does provide the do's and don'ts for using the brand, and the colours and the fonts and all of those things. And we also have a style guide for the rules of how to use the B-Cycle accreditation mark. So both of those, depending on how you're partnering with us on co-branding, those are the two key documents that inform the sort of nuts and bolts of how it can work. As I said, we have a beautiful brand. We're really pleased with the way that's unfolded, and I think also it doesn't just reflect the artwork, it really does reflect who we are. And I think we've, as a team and as a community of B-cyclers, have a real sense that we are doing something really bold and unique here, and that it's a community. So really pleased to sort of have that flow through the brand and the communications as well. So once you become a participant, you can have access to the Branding Assets portal, and there's a whole variety of resources that are here. I'm going to go through and show you some examples in most of these, but you can just go in here and download them, and then in sort of conjunction with the style guides, ensure that they're being used appropriately. But there's some great resources here, and I think the other thing to note is that we're also really happy to adapt and hear ideas of other resources that we might develop, either in a general sense or in partnership with you for a specific activity. So the brand and the logo itself has a variety of different layouts and colours, so you're able to access those depending on the situation. It doesn't always have to be the green or blue, it can be a monotype as well. This also is in more of a logo tile format that you can access and download. And then we have the mark themselves. And this accreditation mark, it doesn't just apply to the recycling collection and recycling network. All of the participants in the scheme, importers, retailers, and the recycling network, are in a sense accredited to the obligations that I talked about earlier. So use of this accreditation mark is available to everybody. We've also developed quite a suite of social tiles, and over time we'll introduce more, but you are able to go in and download these and use these, and we really encourage you to do that. I guess on that note, really great also just to keep us in the loop if you are doing these types of activities, because then of course we can leverage that and support you in your endeavours. There's also other work for retail shelf wobblers that can be downloaded and used for in-store activities. There's aisle fins, artwork for aisle fins that can be used and adapted. On-pack promotions also available. You can see there the use of the accreditation mark, and also safety information and use of messaging to really encourage consumers too how to recycle their batteries, because obviously that's our fundamental driver here. There's also posters, and as I mentioned, it really does depend on the situation. This is just a generic one and it's focused on retail, but it may be that we can quickly adapt that to a local government or a transfer situation, and it might in that case require additional information or safety, but certainly most of the resources needed to do that would be in the portal that you would have access to. We also have, it's just a few examples of how that accreditation mark can be used. I think this is a really lovely presentation of it, and so we would encourage that, but there's also other signage for Windows and other applications. We've also had a couple of members develop promotional videos, and really would love to have the B-Cycle logo or the B-Cycle accreditation mark included as a footnote or as a supporting logo at the end or the beginning. So, feel free to get in touch with us if those opportunities arise. We also have quite a few educational materials, and currently these are really mainly used by us, but it would certainly be fine for you to work with us to co-brand and put these materials out through your own networks. We're also looking at other opportunities. Obviously, there's a whole lot of social media that we can do, but in-store radio is another great opportunity. So we're looking at opportunities for developing those materials with specific participants. Container branding is obviously another really important piece, and it's described a little bit in the code of practice for a drop-off point, but also in the container protocols. And it includes a requirement to consider including safety messaging. It might be the types of batteries collected. Obviously, that's really crucial. The importance of taping battery terminals to reduce the risk of fire. And messages like don't overfill the bin. And obviously this needs to be done very much in partnership with the collector, because the containers are actually in most cases owned by the collector. So important to make sure that the safety messaging really does align with their needs and also with our needs to ensure safety. And that includes button battery safety. The more often that we can include those messages around taping button batteries particularly, the better off we're going to be in sharing that message. This is just some examples of messaging. Tape your terminals for safety, and in case of fire, call 000. But that safety messaging, as I said, is always developed in partnership with your collector and depends on the bins and the safety protocols within the bins themselves. I think just on the fire safety messaging, it's important just to be aware that any battery that holds a charge and has exposed terminals can spark and create a fire. So important message number one. Secondly, lithium batteries are at a much higher risk of fire due to the nature of their chemistry. If they get damaged or heated, they can go into a sort of chemical reaction, and that's definitely the last thing we want. So taping of terminals definitely reduces that risk. All of the collectors are very much involved in ensuring that those risks are managed and develop a risk and safety assessment and safety plan to ensure that that risk is minimised. I think the key messaging for us that we want to encourage people is never disposing of used batteries in general waste or recycling bins, and just letting people know that taping terminals reduces the risk. So these illustrations and the taping sticker are also available through the portal, so feel free to use and access those. We also want to do a lot more of this, so product and service branding, I think a real opportunity for us to partner together to demonstrate the value of both our system and also of your product or service. We also have examples now. I'm sorry that the resolution of these aren't so good, but I think they do show some of the recent advertising that's been done and the support that brands and retailers are giving to our scheme. There's also in-store promotions of major players as well, so that's been really fantastic, and we definitely would like to see more of this type of thing. You know, we've developed banners and so forth. Also really happy if you're doing particular LinkedIn stories or initiatives, then feel free to let us know and we can then share those throughout our own networks. So I guess my key message here is that co-branding really does have the potential to build both B-Cycle and your business. And so what I would really like to see is that today is just the beginning of a conversation about the new opportunities for 2023. And so I would just really encourage all of you to reach out and contact us at contact@bsc.org.au to further that discussion. And now I'd just like to open it up for questions. Any questions or comments from anybody? Do we have to unmute people, Kirsten? I'm not hearing anything.
No, I think people can talk, but it doesn't look like we've got any questions at the moment. We obviously covered it off well. Oh, hang on. There is a question there. Do B-Cycle Associate members already have access to those resources?
To date, we've really focused on participants of the scheme. So what I would suggest is just send us a quick email and we'll see how, you know, what your needs are and whether we can set you up with that.
Libby, that's someone from state government who don't directly operate the sites or don't directly sign up as a, well, like actually they can sign up as a B-Cycle participant. So maybe I just flag you can sign up as a participant even if you don't have your own drop-off point owned by yourselves, and that's the preferred approach.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we would facilitate that. I wasn't meaning to say that we wouldn't. It's just that it's not an automatic setup. All right, well, if there's no other questions, thanks, Meg. We'll just leave it there. But, you know, as I said, really just reach out. We're really keen to partner with you and looking forward to really building the program even more after such a successful year this year. And really just wish you all the best for Christmas as well. This year has flown. I can't believe we're here already. And hopefully you're all going to at least have a few days off and enjoy the summer.